Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs, and today I have these beautiful flowering quince cards to share with you. So let's jump right in. I am going to start by foiling my sentiments. Normally I start with cutting down my cardstock, but for whatever reason I thought foiling would be a fun way to start these designs. And I have a sentiment from the Spellbinders Elegant Occasion Sentiments. This is an older set. I'm not sure if it's still available. If it is, I will have it linked and listed down below as always. If not, I'll try to find you something fairly similar. And I'm using my quick trimmer just to cut down the foil so that it's cut to size. I don't like to waste foil, so I find the quick trimmer is a great way to kind of save foil as you cut it, because you cut it straight and you know it cuts beautifully, and then you can easily put the extras away. I always save the excess in a little Ziploc bag, so I always have little pieces left just in case I need to use them for something else. And I am going to use my Glimmer hot foil machine here with a piece of black cardstock. I prefer to use my Glimmer hot foil machine with my Big Shot die cutting machine. As you guys know, if you've been with me for a minute, I have a switch. That's what I use normally, but I find that I prefer the control of my manual machine when I do something like hot foiling, and I also use it with the better press, just because I prefer it, not because you can't use the switch, just because I don't like to use my automatic machine for stuff like this, and I have the Big Shot, so I am going to use two different die cutting machines in this video. Of course, you don't need to do that, but you can if you have them. And then I do find if you have a little bit of overfoiling, especially in the inner parts of the letters, you can kind of run an eraser along them, and that will help you remove that excess foil. Just do it gently, of course, because you're not trying to remove the foil from the cardstock, but if there's just a little bit of overfoiling, especially in these kind of smaller letters, I find that eraser really helps. And then this hot foil or this hot plate set also comes with matching dies. So I ran the matching die through my switch so that I could cut out the sentiments and have them fit beautifully with the flowering quince. Now, I am not a floral person, so you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but the flowering quince makes me think of both cherry blossoms and orchids, and I thought it was stunning. So I was so excited to make cards with it. Now I am making anniversary cards just because, if you guys know, I have a custom order for 12 anniversary cards and 12 birthday cards, and I've finished up the birthday cards, so I'm still working through the anniversary cards, so don't be surprised if you see a bunch of anniversary cards popping up on the channel, but you could easily change this sentiment for happy birthday or thinking of you or hello. Like, I think this card could be easily any sentiment you wanted for it. Now for my card base, I did create two A2 sized card bases, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I cut down a black mat to go on top. It's not a mat, sorry, it's the panel. And it's about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my black base, just because I wanted to have a decent size around it. Now it is black on black, so the border isn't terribly obvious, but I like the border look. That's just kind of what I go towards. So that is what I was thinking when I made these. Now for some extra texture in the background, I brought in the Spellbinders Tufted 3D embossing folder, and I ran that through my switch on kind of the flapped piece of my base, and that gave me just this great background texture. And now keep in mind, I am doing everything twice. I'm only showing it to you once because I figure you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing here, but I am doing everything twice. Now I'm going to start cutting the die pieces for the quince, and I chose to run the I'm calling this the base layer, though I mean it's only one die. I'm running the base layer of my branch through my switch with some Woodgrain cardstock. I just thought that would give me like a really cool effect, and I was really happy with how that looks. We are going to add some color to it, but I did run it through with Woodgrain, and that is the one that came out, the white and gray. It came out at Christmas, I believe 2 years ago, from Tim Holtz. So you can't get that exact Woodgrain cardstock anymore, but he does have a beautiful Woodgrain cardstock that you can still get, and that will be linked down below. I also cut out the pieces of the leaves again on regular HammerMill cardstock, and I cut out 4 for each card, so 8 of the floral pieces, so that we could blend those on and blend on them and add them to the card. So for the blending, I brought in Distress Oxide Ink. You guys know that that is my favorite ink. And I brought in 2 colors of brown because I wanted some different textures. So each colorway gets 2 colors except the flower. I did end up bringing in a 3rd color, which you'll see later. So for the branches, I brought in Gathered Twigs and Walnut Stain. And I want them to be imperfect. Like, I'm not aiming for perfect blending with these. I really just want them to have some color, and then we're going to kind of go over them with the 2nd color and just add a little variation because I think that looks really pretty. So for the leaves, I used a Twisted Citron as the base and then Mowed Lawn on top. And keep in mind, I am going to cut the leaves off of these little pieces and adhere them on top of my branches. That's why the ink blending doesn't need to be perfect, and it's kind of, a little all over the place because I am going to cut the pieces down. So it doesn't need to be perfect. And nature isn't perfect. You'll find, funny shaped flowers or different colored petals, and they're still beautiful. So keep that in mind with this. You're not aiming for perfection. You're more aiming to just create something that you're happy with. And sometimes you have to let go of that perfection. So I don't have that problem. I never try to make things, perfect or symmetrical or anything like that. I just aim to be happy with what I've made, and that's kind of all I really go for. But I mean, completely up to you. You can attempt to make perfect cards if that's what you prefer, but I do find if you let it go a little bit, you come out with some really fun things that are quite beautiful in their own right. So I did bring in Victorian Velvet and Seedless Preserves for my petals, and I started with the base of the Victorian Velvet, and then I went in with the Seedless Preserves. Keep in mind that when you put the ink down, it's the darkest it's going to be. So if you don't like it at this stage, don't do more, but let it sit, let it completely dry, and then see what you like about it, because it will dry back, and at that point you can add more color if you think that you didn't have enough. But I find that, like, here, if I'm happy with the vibrancy, or I want it to be just a touch less vibrant, I let it sit, and then I look at it after it's completely dry and then kind of judge it from there. If you've been with my channel for a while, you'll know that I generally don't do things in even numbers, because okay, I'm not sure how to explain this, because the human mind likes to make patterns out of even numbers, so I tend to do uneven numbers. Hopefully that makes sense. So I did this card and I only added 4 flowers. Normally I would tell you should add 5 flowers or 3 flowers, whichever direction you want to go, and that would look not better, just more aesthetically pleasing. But I broke all my own rules today with this one, I guess, because I did not do that. I added 4 flowers on each card. And I love the card designs. I feel like because it's a botanical, and botanicals kind of break the rules because they do whatever the heck they want and they still look stunning, you can get away with not really worrying about the even numbers. But I don't know. If you want to add more or less, please do. But I was wondering if anybody would notice that, because I am a big believer in uneven numbers. So I figured I would just bring it up as we were doing this so that nobody can be like, hey, Ciara, do you not know how to count? There's only 4 flowers. In a nice way, of course, because you guys are always lovely. But yeah, so as I'm adhering these together, tell me these don't look like orchids. Like, again, I struggle to keep plants alive. I love flowers. I love them so much, but I do not have a green thumb whatsoever. And I am in love with these flowers, but they remind me of orchids meets cherry blossoms, kind of. So that is why I kind of picked this more pink-ish color palette. And I love pink, which you guys would know if you've been with my channel for a little while. If you're new to the channel, hello. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you'll consider subscribing and enjoying other beautiful content that I have on the channel. I hope that you guys like my content. I do have a pretty big array of videos now, and a pretty big array of different techniques and different mediums and different, things. So hopefully you're enjoying what you see on the channel, and you'll consider subscribing and sticking around, because I'd love to have you. My channel's actually grown a fair amount recently, and that's incredibly exciting. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I cannot express what it means to me. You did see me bring in a shaping tool, and I did run that along the back edges of the flowers and then kind of press down in the center just to give them a little bit more depth and dimension, because I love that. But you could leave them flat. There's nothing wrong with that either. I just wanted them to have a bit more dimension. And this is where I brought in the third color. I just felt like the center needed a little bit something extra. So I did bring in mustard seed, and I used that just lightly on the center with a very small blending brush. And then here's where we're going to start putting it together. So I cut the little leaves off of the extra branch that I had die cut, and I'm just going to glue them down in the area that they belong. Now I am going to use the flowers to kind of hide the seams where the branch and the leaves meet, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having your leaves kind of stop like that. I think I would have not cut them quite as straight if I was going to not hide them behind the flowers. But I love how this card turned out. I think it's stunning. And these dies are so great because you could easily change the colors of these. You could do rainbow florals. You could do, there's so many things you could do with florals, and they lend themselves beautifully to be anything. Birthday cards, sympathy cards, thinking of you cards, just hello cards. There's just so much versatility there that I love a good floral, and I feel like these are phenomenal. I also have the hydrangea die set from this same release from Spellbinders, so watch out for that. That will pop up here down the road at some point. I haven't made the cards yet, but I have an idea for the hydrangea set, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I love hydrangeas, and I think if maybe we did some watercolor with them and then die cut it, I think we'd get a really beautiful variation between the blue and the purple for hydrangeas like you'd find in Japan. So yeah, stunning. I'm very, very excited to work with that die set. And of course, Mist had to come up and make sure that she approved of my card design. So she did actually sit here and spectate for a while and made sure that she was okay with the card design. It is a bit of, I want to say simple. It's not a simple card design. Simple's not the right word, but for me, if you're used to my kind of card creating, I tend to be a very more is more style creator. So because of that, this card feels a little more simple than it actually is. But I don't know. That's just how it comes across to me. And I did splatter on just a little bit of Perfect Pearls to the background so that I could have just a little bit of extra shimmer and shine and interest behind those florals. And of course, Mist was going to try to get her face in there, but I blocked her so she couldn't be covered in sparkles, because that's the last thing I need. I'm going to find sparkles all over the house. But yeah, and then we're just going to start building the card. And I am pretty excited about this card. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Is there anything you would change about this card design? Would you have done, instead of black on black, would you have done a different layer, a different matte? Would you have changed anything about my card design? Let me know, because I am pretty excited about this card design. I'm pretty excited about the dies in general. Those florals are stunning. Now I need to do a design that brings in several branches, or maybe we'll have to do a big one, like a 5x7 or something. I always have loads of ideas. I just never seem to have enough time to, implement all of my ideas. But I love how vibrant these flowers are against that black background. Sorry guys, it's been a long day, so bear with me as I do this voiceover. And I just kind of wanted to tuck the happy anniversary just a little bit behind the flower so that it really felt like they were together, kind of like it's a little cluster. And then because it's me and I can never leave well enough alone, I did have to add gems to the flowers. I could not resist. I think that these flowers are just screaming for a little bit of bling in the center. So I did bring in the Spellbinders Crystal Mix Adhesive gems, and I just added some of these beautiful ones to the centers of the flowers. And then that's all we do to this card. Oh, I did have to go back. I actually completely forgot, because I don't normally put stuff on the inside necessarily, and I completely forgot that this is a black card. So for my customer to use it, it needs to have somewhere to write. So I did go back and I actually die cut a stitched rectangle die, and I'm going to put that on the inside of the card so that there's a white space to write on inside of the cards. I mean, you could use, a white gel pen or whatnot, but I don't want to assume that my customer has anything like that. So I did go back in and add this white piece So there would be an area easily writable inside of this beautiful black card. But that's all we kind of did here. I didn't really add anything else, which I know is shocking, but I decided to stop because I think that these are stunning as they are here, and I am in love with them. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you'll tell me your thoughts. I'm always really interested. I had a little influx of comments, so I am behind on answering things, but I do always try to answer quickly if you ask a question. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them, fairly quickly. Otherwise, I will get to the comments as soon as I can. I'm just a little behind on them, but these are the cards I am in love. I hope you guys enjoyed watching them come together. Please leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.